Okay, Mr. McMeans, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a later start to the discussion session today, but have a few important topics to run through. First up, summary of regular agenda meetings, a little bit of an echo there. To mute.
It's not.
I think it's, but on the regular agenda, we have consideration of a resolution. Yes.
My volume's small. It's replaced the mute up. Oh, here.
Mute your mic at the bottom right here, down there.
Sorry.
There we go. Okay, we have a resolution dealing with the reimbursement for the municipality from PennDOT for maintenance or for winter maintenance of PennDOT roads during the winter time. So that's on for approval. Consideration of a subdivision plan on McFarland Road. This is one where the Gillette property on Theoden Drive is giving a portion of land to the Chabad at 1701 McFarland. Both properties will remain in compliance with all zoning regulations after the property transfer, and it is consolidated to form a new lot.
As I recall, that was to address, there was something about how ones are this or whatever, and so just kind of solve that problem.
Yes.
Because otherwise, one of the properties became kind of a hybrid. So I think this was to address that situation.
This is, the Chabad is acquiring some land from its neighboring property.
Right, so that each one stays in their own R this or, yeah, because what they did was messy. This cleans it up.
Cleans up the map.
It's a very
yes,
technical
it-
term, but yes.
Cleans up the map.
Okay. So we have a very short, regular meeting.
Fabulous. Okay, so Dan, you're next. Come on down. Ta-dum.
Evening, everybody.
Evening.
All right, we're here tonight to just give an update, a brief update to the commissioners on the progress of the multiple projects that are out there this year in terms of construction projects. I'm not gonna read through everything. I'm just gonna try to give you the highlights of what we provided in the presentation. But to kick it off, on sanitary sewers, if you recall, that we had to go ahead and, we had to go ahead and do some connection of 43 and 44 Mayfair Drive as a part of a settlement on a matter to connect them into our sanitary sewer. We had to put grinder pumps in and we had to do a bunch of restoration. It was a complicated little project. It's complete at this point in time. It came in at budget. The contractor that did the pump work was very good. It says that there's a driveway to be completed. I believe that's already been completed at this time. So we're just wrapping this one up. It was a combination of taking quotes related to the pumps, and then we were able to do other work out of the point repair contract. So we used multiple contractors on this one, and it went pretty well. As usual, anytime you're digging in people's yards, there's restorations, driveway repairs, all those types of things. So that's that one. Just ask me questions as we go along here if you have any questions at all. Point repairs, this is it's a nice little picture of point repairs where we actually go in and we could be raising manholes. We could be actually doing work to replace small pieces of pipe. If the commission recalls, we take a really big multi-year contract related to this where we put a bunch of items in there. So it's $1 million contract, but we have in here that we're going to complete this year's work at about $250,000. Just to note, point repairs, these types of repairs have continued to decrease. The reason why it is because we do continued maintenance every year and we keep biting off the things that need to be done. I would say that we always, and Rudy will chime in, we always find things that you never think you're gonna find. But fortunately, we have this contract to do that. And we hope that it continues to come down because we're doing other things like lining sewers, which is the next part. So I was trying to figure out, I know we're roughly about 15 miles lined,
Yeah, give or take.
roughly about 15 miles lined, and in 2023, we're wrapping up about another 3 miles and another 3 miles here this year in 2024. So we're gonna be over 20 miles of a 150-mile system. So we're biting off roughly 2% of our system every year. We're getting it lined, which is basically rebuilding your sanitary sewer system from within. So I think those projects are going well. What I failed to say at the beginning of the project or beginning of the presentation is that actually contractors are a little bit more back to normal this year. Prices have not come down, but they've stabilized and they're able to get the work done, at least for the most part, within schedule. So the problems that we were seeing post-pandemic seem to be better. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's better.
That 2% of the system per year.
Yeah, we're roughly 150-mile system, so if we do 3 miles a year,
So I just ballparking that long term, right? That's 50 years.
right, and we already have 20 miles in.
Well, yeah, but in another 30 years,
Yeah.
go back to the beginning and start over.
Well, I mean, we're putting in PVC pipes now.
No, I recognize that, but right, I think
Yeah,
my instinct is just kind of hearing that it's budget this number every year for the next, in perpetuity. Right, knowing that that's
There's sewers. Have
That's
to
just
be
the way it-
fixed.
yeah.
Right.
All right, it's helpful to have that context.
Plus X%.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in $2024.
and then moving on to the next part of what we do to the sewer system, we have about 5,000 manholes. We're doing roughly 5% of those per year. We're actually going in and doing the cementatious coating of old brick manholes that are leaky, fixing up the inverts, putting in steps so guys can get down inside them, sealing off the chimneys to them. So there's various work that goes on. That's about a $470,000 contract. Again, this is coming in right at about budget. We know more about this, how much we're doing. We inspect the manholes beforehand. We get this work done. This is all part of the maintenance plan. Continuing on, with sanitary sewers, we also do lining, televising to know what type of repairs we need to get done. So on average, we're televising at least this year in 2024, we're doing about 25 miles of actual inspections. We're having the contractor both do the internal televising of the sewers and then also doing the manhole inspections. It's relatively cheap to do, but again, we try to get through the system and make sure we find all these things out. And again, this is where we do the investigative work. We find out what's going on and that falls into the other repair contracts from there. Moving onward, we just threw out there the consent order. We have another big deadline coming up next month to get our reports in for our further review of where we're going to do the Gold Line Standard projects. So that's going in and will be reviewed by the regulators. We're also continuing to apply for GROW grants. There's still money available for Cycle 10, so stay posted on that. We hope to get more money back for our projects where we're doing the work. Moving onward to the one big contract that the commission awarded this year, if you recall, was our first big Gold Line Standard project that we gave to In Situ Forum. This project's moving along okay. It's been a little bumpy out of the gate with the contractor to get them oriented, get them on task, what needs to be done, but that seems to be going well now. We're at about 45% of the lining to be done. And then if you recall, we're also really trying to button up the sewers by putting mechanical end connections when pipes come into manholes. That's part of their work, so they'll continue on with this. We're thinking they'll wrap this up, by the end of the year. That's the anticipation. So going much better and much happier with what's happening there. Just threw in here that Public Works and our guys have been taking on and continually improving the GIS system, at least the mobile functions related to that. So we're getting a lot of that stuff in the field, that people can go out in the field and actually, when there are issues where they're working on sewers, they'll actually know what's going on, and don't have to call back in for that. So it's a great tool. Continue to try to use the system to its fullest potential. Rudy's a big advocate of that, and we'll continue to try to, like I said, make that better. MS4 work, we're continuing to do the outfall screening that's required annually to measure where our streams are discharging into the bigger streams, or our sewers are discharging into the water courses in the municipality. We have received final approval for the next 5 years of our NPDES permit. There's nothing other than the normal minimum controls that are required right now, so there's no further updates on the PRP components. We're pretty much complete with what we had to do during the first cycle of that. So again, nothing more on that. Hopefully we can then focus our efforts on storm sewers to, again, completing the list of things that are out there, the work that's on the books that needs to be done. Moving onward to road reconstruction, that project's gone as it usually goes pretty well with the current contractor who knows how to do the work. It's staying within budget. They'll probably be done a little bit ahead of schedule. They've got moved on to their last street for curbs now. And again, they're anticipating completion by the 31st of October. And as you recall, that process where they do drainage work, then the curb work, and they do the excavation, do the backfilling with the aggregate, and then we finally get the pave. So that's the multi-step process. The schedule is continually updated and things are going well. On the mill and overlay project, that project was completed on 8/13. Again, they did milling work. They also had to do ramp work on handicap ramps. When we do this, we have to update any ramps that need updated as that happens. And that project was completed within budget, and we got it done before school started. So that's good. Road Rejuvenator, that project is also completed. That's a short process where we go out and treat the streets that we already have in good condition to extend their useful life. That program's been going on for many years, and we think that it does a great job of rejuvenating the surface of the asphalt material because the sun continues to degrade that very quickly. Bituminous pavements are really minimum oil amounts in them right now, so we have to go back and make sure the top stays nice and tight so that we don't get cracks in the road. But when we do have cracks in the road, we do a crack sealing program. Again, that one was completed early on in the year. Complete, no issues. Brick maintenance, that's still going on right now. Continue to ramp up that a little bit more each year. Rudy has that work going on, and I think we're gonna end on that sometime here in early September. We also did root control and curb work. Those two contracts were started, at least on the root control, started and ended, and pretty quickly this year. In the amounts that were prescribed within the budget, nothing particularly to report on there. And then we got our Cedar Salem intersection project done. I think it turned out pretty well. I think the big lesson learned on that was that we bid it during the road reconstruction project. We got good numbers, we got it in early. So any other future projects like that, I highly recommend the same way to go. Right now, the Timber Creek stairs are being worked on. The contractor seems to be doing pretty well. We had a pre-construction meeting with them in July. They're anticipated to be completed here in October. Nothing special to report on that other than we had a tree down. The Public Works took care of this week.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure. I've not heard any complaints from the residents so far, so I think that's a good sign. So far.
Actually, it's more pointed toward Rudy. Excuse me. Once those steps are in, maintaining them, right, salting them, right? Whatever it might be to make sure that they are passable, given that they're a public right of way that is maintained by the municipality. How are we thinking about that?
We'll have to add that into our contractual sidewalk and step snow and ice program.
Thank you.
Then we also got the tennis court work done, which is always a challenge to get these guys that are used to working in country clubs to come and do municipal projects. But fortunately, things have worked out and we had a site contractor do part of the work. We had the electrical work done last year. Hartrue came in and got their work complete. And now the site contractor has to finish up his work to do some more concrete and we'll be out of there. And then the south garage repairs, as you know, the first step in that was to jump in and do some work on the bridge that goes from Washington Road back to the garage. They did a membrane, they did a lot of chipping and sealing and work. Mary Ann and Richards did that work. And at this time, I'd say they are complete. As I understand it, we talked today at Public Works, they're pretty much wrapped up. Public Safety Center roof replacement, this was awarded to PA Roofing Systems. Construction in August, work is anticipated here in early September. Just will take a couple weeks once materials are all available to arrive and be in site. And then we also have the Public Works Storage Building and Fire Training Center. That project was awarded to DeMarco. They have all the foundation work done and the preparation for things ready to go. Waiting on the building to arrive. And obviously still waiting on the Fire Training Center part of the grant application. So we'll be ready for that. That's it. It's a lot, but things are, like I said, at least in my estimation, they've gone pretty well. With some contractors at least getting back to a little bit more normal. That's it. Any questions?
Questions, commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Greg, you're next. CIP, yeah.
My wonderful assistant Ian is pulling up my presentation.
Okay. All right,
So
wait.
it is connecting. Thinking about it.
You gave us the heads up to make sure we bring our.
That's much appreciated.
The CIP is also available on the municipal website
Right.
as well for those watching at home that would like to view in more detail some of the projects that Mr. Wharton is going to discuss.
It's gonna be pretty high level, just kind of focusing on the 2025 projects. And then a little tidbit on some 2026 projects as well, so.
We're going to relaunch this because it decided to not respond. Okay, there you are. Sorry.
Okay, so August 1st, for the charter, we released the 2025 to 2029 capital improvement program. And so just some kind of quick facts from last year. So this year, for our new 5-year program, we have 46 newer continuation projects totaling a whopping $88,437,690. With that being $33,074,370 being in net tax costs. And specifically for 2025, we have 21 projects listed for a gross total of 16.5 million, and then netting about just under 7.5 million. So the one kind of special part about this with relining most of the references throughout the CIP is including the new Ascend Lebo comprehensive plan. So obviously last year's CIP included the 2013 program.
Right.
And this year we have the new one. So a lot of projects through that have extended out from, I would say from years past to continue on for the new ones. But I would say just a kind of net tax cost overview. As you can see, there's relatively, like I mentioned, that 33 million, kind of that total net tax cost, but for 2025, just under that 7.5 million, a little bit of an increase in 2026, and I will get to that point towards the end. Just some recreation, field upgrades and things like that we're gonna get to. Realistically, I would say most of it, as per usual, comes from infrastructure improvements. As you can see in the last 2024 to 2028, we also have that 17 million number, so we dropped a little bit. We're still there. And then this year, actually, for 2025, just public works and recreation. Those are the two departments that are be pulling from the tax or the net tax costs. We have no economic development or public safety projects scheduled for 2025.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Just for clarification. What is the difference between infrastructure and facilities?
So infrastructure, we define that as actually in the project category as projects that are long-lived and stationary. So street reconstruction, sanitary sewer, stormwater, sidewalks, and facility is more, I would say, a facility where it's a building, a field, as in like a recreation space and things like that. Whether that be a roof, whether that be exterior improvements to the public safety center, that's an example. And then obviously just covering equipment is equipment, so. But I hope that answers your question there.
Like the fire training facility, where would that be in this?
So that was already funded. That was already funded.
Oh, so not part.
2024.
Okay, got it.
That wasn't.
So this is projects happening, not necessarily funded.
Projects proposed for consideration for the commission during the budget process.
Yes.
It's a strict guideline stuff.
Yes.
So, moving forward, we're just gonna kind of look at just the, I would say, the departmental ranking, based off of the 2025 projects. So just kind of running down through street reconstruction, obviously, is the, I would say, the top of the public works. But kind of Dan mentioned a lot of these projects just in his update a couple minutes ago. So, but Mount Lebanon has 90 miles of municipal maintained streets. A well-maintained street will last about 40 to 50 years. And so each year, we're just kind of keep going with the reconstruction of some of the streets, and they change pretty drastically every year. So sanitary sewer improvements, again, pretty large infrastructure improvement, continually upgrading our infrastructure. I know, speaking with Rudy, it's just kind of, when you complete one thing, it's on to the next project. It's just continually upgrading all of the infrastructure that we have. Same thing with the stormwater management, fixing one thing, moving on to the next project. And then number 4, there's just scheduled equipment replacements, kind of standard there. Equipment reaches its end of its useful life, onto the next piece of equipment. And in that kind of, I want to say in that consideration as well, we've just from weeks prior, we've talked about our assessment of the fleet efficiency plan. So within that scheduled equipment replacement, that will be something that we take a look into in years prior or years to come. So.
Question.
Sure.
In our strategic plan, we talked about sidewalks, and we've identified 4 streets in addition to Woodland that probably need sidewalks. I'm seeing sidewalk improvement for 130,000, which 130,005, that's not even
Is that
enough.
the root treatment?
Is that just the fixing the sidewalks that we maintain, or is that all we're going to put towards sidewalks? Rudy, you can answer.
The operating budget covers the assessment and the root damage work that we do, so this would be
Just for new,
exclusive for new sidewalks that don't
Thank you.
exist now. You're welcome.
okay, thank you.
So we'll just have to manage that when we do our budget review.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like my
Yeah.
assumption was that we would try to tackle one of those, you know, each year for the next couple of years.
So now we know the amount that was put in. Thank you, Rudy. Helpful.
Target.
So something actually Dan mentioned in his presentation before was the public safety center exterior improvements. Pretty standard there, just improving the exterior facade of that building. Moving on to another one as well as the municipal building HVAC upgrade. I think it's replacing a 40-ton unit, 40-ton rooftop unit that covers the ground to the second floor. That also is going to be kind of taken or assessed where we can kind of maximize efficiency on that. So making sure we kind of get a high quality piece of equipment that's going to be requiring less power and less energy to be used. And then also same thing with the Public Safety Center boilers and controls. It's reached its endful useful life, and pretty standard on the replacement there. Moving on to the Meadowcraft Park ADA, I know the basketball courts were done in previous years, and then
This, I believe, is phase 3.
yeah, it's the next phase moving forward. And then same thing kind of with the Bird Park Stream Restoration phase project. We're moving on to the next phase of that. And then kind of on top of building on the Bird Park Stream Restoration, we have another invasive species management, based off of the Oikos study, that we're gonna be kind of tackling some specific areas throughout the municipality for invasive species. Sure.
Didn't we just do a bird park stream restoration first? Second in 2 parts, one, the invasive species management. How is that capital project? What are we buying that is capital for invasive species? And second, if it's under $50,000, why are we seeing it?
So I'll let Greg handle the other question, but on the invasive species one, the long-term Oikos plan, so if you look at the chart
Yes.
on whatever page it is, the future years of that go above $100,000 per year, which is our threshold for capital projects is $100,000. So we could have put this 32,000 this year in the operating budget, but because it was an ongoing long-term plan with continued investments each year, we wanted to show it in the capital program because that's the space where the commission sees future year investments as well. When you look at the budget, you just see the current year. So we wanted the commission to have a sense of these are the commitments in future years as well by including it in this.
And then to answer the Bird Park Stream Restoration, it's a continuation of the project that was done in 2020. So it's continuing past the pedestrian bridge. It says 650 feet further downstream, just sediment controls and watershed protection measures. So, yeah. So, and then moving on to the electric vehicle infrastructure. So that's something we actually, part of the programs that we've been kind of updating on the commission in the past couple of months. Taking a look at some public, not public, the fleet charging potentially based off of our assessment for the fleet efficiency plan. These 2 projects together would be the Public Works Facility and then the Public Safety Center. So with that as well, there's a lot of grant opportunity. I know there's a lot out there currently right now, and as well as Duquesne Light has that program where they have that EV make ready. So there are some kind of offset costs there, but just specifically these 2 in 2025 are fleet locations. And then 2026, we have one for the academy, which would be a public charging. So hopefully lining some things up there as well with some other projects.
Okay.
And then finally, for just the Public Works Department, we mentioned the sidewalk improvement program. So.
Right.
Moving on to the recreation, the ice rink chiller replacement. I know the commission's been updated
Yep.
extensively on that. Pretty self-explanatory as to replace the ice rink chiller. It's a pretty substantial project there. As well as the tennis court reconstruction phase 3. Dan mentioned that court 4 and 5. Make sure that's right. Yeah, 4 and 5 are being done currently right now and moving on to the next courts there. As well as the lightings for courts 1 through 8. Placing those and upgrading those to LED function as well. Moving on to pickleball court construction. So it's converting some of the existing tennis courts to pickleball courts. I know meeting that high demand in the municipality right now would be pretty important. And then also with the tennis fencing, it's replacing and repairing some of the fencing that is existing as well as the hitting wall that's down there. So pretty substantial tennis court projects down there. And then moving up to the golf course, re-leveling and taking care of some tees that are up there at the golf course. And then finally back to the recreation center, we have some bleacher railing replacement at the ice rink. That's gonna be looking forward towards mainly a more maintenance friendly alternative there. So, but again, pretty standard. And then finally with the parking, that these both of these projects are offset by the parking fund, so these are not included in the net tax cost. South garage replacement, that 300,000 is just more not upgrades, I should say, repairs to the south garage. But as we see, it's a more larger project like coming down the pipe, I would say, in the next couple of years. And then the north garage elevators is just replacing the cars there as well. Just reaching that end of its useful life, so. That pretty much takes care of the 2025 expenditures. Any questions on those? Just kind of highlighting before we get into the 2026 project mentioning, just this is some near-term and intermediate debt horizon that we're looking at. This can all change obviously, but I just wanted to make sure that the commission was aware of some things that are coming up. And this kind of gets into the next point of the 2026 projects. Keep jumping through, these are just future department expenditures. So this was everything kind of goes with that.
There was some, I haven't looked at this in detail, I was just responding to something I saw, there was something there for McNeely Park at
Yes,
694, was that the walking trail thing that you had put forward, Ian?
That was the, basically minimum improvements to make it, publicly useful, which was the access driveway and walking trails. Really the key there, as identified through our Parks Master Plan, is just getting access to the park for people, that there's no way to get into the park for people. And the lack of access with the lack of a driveway in or any kind of, improved pathway into the park is a fairly significant hurdle for people to be able to use that park for any future development that happen there. So that project listed in the CIP is in the furthest out year, but this so that's the 2029, so the 5th year out, which as the commission knows from past experiences, means it's something that's kind of on our radar, but not necessarily an immediate project. But that is essentially the summary of it. Yes, it would be an access driveway and trails that would kind of go around the exterior of the park to leave the central area open to future development.
Just kind of,
And one other, sorry, if I may, because obviously wearing two hats here tonight is, standing in for Keith in the manager's position, but also as the municipal planner, this, the CIP is a planning document. That, when looking at projects for the CIP, we wanted to put things out there that were, recommended through the Parks Master Plan, the ongoing main park site plan, which is due to conclude soon, the comprehensive plan, the Oikos plan, some of the other plans that have been done, and then try and scale them for sort of the immediacy or necessity of them getting done. So, overall, none of these projects are funded yet. They're all, things that are in plans that are recommended for commission consideration during the budget process. And you'll see this all again when you go through budgeting and all that. So that's really kind of the genesis of this presentation too, is to make sure that the commission is aware of what the pending projects are for consideration in the 2025 budget. So as you get into budget conversations over the next few months, but also this slide in particular, having a sense of, what's coming down the pike in the next 5 years that we need to be aware of, so that when you're making budget decisions now, you're also aware that there are some other fairly significant, these are recreation specific projects coming down the pike as well. And some of these may be something that we look to go out for a bond issue to do in the coming years as well.
What is a pumper?
so pumper replacement is an engine for the fire department. That's, I think, is proposed in 2028. Statement.
So it's an engine?
Yeah, so it's, your same, sorry?
I would bump that number up by at least $250,000 if it's 2028.
That is something we were taking into consideration. And just for kind of the new debt horizon, that this project listed here doesn't always mean these are going to be funded by debt. It's just kind of a guide. So this
Sure.
new debt horizon is just a guide.
That and also the guideline where Commissioner Flynn said that price needs to be higher.
Exactly.
These are giving us ballparks.
Exactly. So these are just some departmental numbers. As you can see, public works is rather large. Recreation, and then, yes, it was 2028 in the, replacement. Parking, and then this is actually what it was talked about, this was talked about last Tuesday in the planning board meeting. So there was a question of why some of the cedar, I would say the cedar area, so the parking lot, the field, the lighting, the fencing, was some of the projects that were moved from 2025 to 2026. And from the new debt horizon, we took a look at, or I should say the debt schedule that we have, some bonds are going to be expiring. Correct?
Right.
Finance
Right.
director, correct me if I'm wrong, but some bonds are going to be kind of expiring here. And we'll be able to take on some new debt in 2026. So kind of combining those projects all in 1 year to kind of, expedite that process rather than tearing up the turf 1 year and then 2 years later going in and doing lighting and things like that. It's kind of disturbing over multiple years rather than doing all the projects at once. So we kind of moved those to 2026. So that was the Cedar Boulevard parking lot, Twin Seymour field lighting, the Middle and Seymour fences, and then also the Middle and Seymour turf replacement. So
Mission questions? Boy. You think I gave you all margaritas tonight? I'm so
I
excited.
missed that.
I didn't.
You know, it's late.
But it was quiet. Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Swim Center. Favorite.
Stop sharing.
I did, yes, it's all yours now.
Okay, Dan, are you joining me? Coming right up. Okay, we'll let you go here, Lamont. Don't leave me hanging.
You're a big man to arrive.
Yeah. Let's roll.
Between a filtration system and a chiller system. That's a big,
Yeah, we sure
Expensive
do.
systems.
yes.
Okay,
Next time, try to distribute when they break so that.
Yeah. I mean, come on, really.
I'll do, how about just not break in the.
Oh, that would work, that would work.
All right, as you know, we've been working with several design professionals, aquatic design professionals to see if we could do a potential filtration replacement at our swim center. This evening, we are recommending a proposal from Councilman Hunsaker. If you aren't familiar with this firm, they completed an aquatic center feasibility study for the municipality back in 2007 and did a very good job. They are probably the foremost aquatics design professionals in the nation. They have done many projects locally. Currently, they're working on the University of Pittsburgh's new recreation center with the same filtration system that they're proposing for us. So we're fortunate that they're available and working in the area. We'd be pleased to have them on board for this project. Their work would include a facility audit. That's just basically reviewing our current conditions, existing systems, and making recommendations for improvements as well as costs for those improvements. They would then develop detailed design plans leading to construction documents and then provide construction administration to include site visits for milestones in the project, as well as verify the final product will meet our needs and it was built to specifications.
For anybody who's following along, he's a bad speller. B mishears, that's not an elected official.
Did I spell
Councilman.
something wrong?
It just, no, you spelled it perfectly. It just, if someone's not paying attention,
Oh,
why have some
You're the
councilman
company.
at your mind?
Yeah.
I said, no, that's not an elected official, it's a company.
Oh, I hear you. Yes, yes.
So-
That is a person's last name.
I know, but it just,
Doc Councilman.
yes,
Okay.
I'm sure no one is jumping to conclusions.
Right, right. Well, thank you for pointing that out. That did not occur to me.
Nor
Just
me.
Just give you a quick
Commissioner Flynn is the name of the company.
Hey,
Uh,
watch it.
It just gives you a snapshot of the project site, the southern corner of the bathhouse as well as the surrounding deck area.
Sure.
Are what we're targeting for construction. This is a floor plan of the existing building. The plan would be to come in through those set of double doors, from deck storage B and go through a concrete block wall with the equipment. It's just too big to fit through a regular single door,
Sure.
where we currently access this room. So there is some, structural and architectural work to this as well. This is just a plan of our existing filter system. You can see the plumbing is very tight there on the left. This would all be reconfigured. The line, the vertical lines up in the upper right-hand corner there, that's our existing filter tank. That is where the new filter tank would be located on top of that. So this would be a pressure system as opposed to a sort of gravity-fed vacuum system. They would also bring the current circulation system for the spray features, which is located under the deck in a vault pit underground, which is very difficult to access. That would also be brought into the filter room proper
Nice.
here
Yeah.
to make life a lot easier to maintain.
Yeah, sure.
So also included in this work would be a new surge tank. This would be constructed exterior to the building, so underground. Under the deck in that area identified is what we're currently thinking. As well as a water level controller, so in other words, an automated way to control water level rather than just turning a valve and hoping no one forgets. And a new chemical controller. So these were the very high priority items identified both internally and by the consultant. Other items like leveling the floor and gutters would be
Yeah.
addressed at a later time,
So they aren't going to,
not in this phase.
okay,
We still hope to have the builder of the pool on site in the fall. And potentially cut and weld the current floor flat, which would at least get us a few years of a flat floor.
Is there, and really going back to your first slide, not wanting to raise the cost of this any more than we have to, but given you're bringing heavy equipment into that part of the pool. I think it's 3 slides earlier or something like that.
You want to see like the site view?
There is,
Sorry, one, two, four.
even one more, but the point is just, once you're messing in that area, not to run up the cost, but is there anything you're like, we've got a bulldozer sitting there anyway, we should do X.
Well, we would love to be able to do the floor and the gutters, but that's
Yeah.
just not practical
I was
in this
thinking more like
window
since
of
you where the
time.
umbrellas are and stuff like that, to say you're coming in that way, is there?
I mean, as part of a pool master plan, there's probably a dozen different things we'd like to do, but I think those are things that we would wanna give more time and be much more thoughtful and try to incorporate them into a bigger project down the road. We talked about relocating the snack bar, for example, adding pool storage. There's a lot of different things we would like to do, could do, knock down the mounds. But
that would give you. a
we're
lot
just,
more room.
there's not enough time to do any of that.
Right.
I just trying to balance that, not wanting to run up the cost, but
Right, right.
efficiency, if you've got the heavy equipment right there on site.
What about
Well-
that one mound,
We could knock down
That
mounds.
left. The one on the left, near the slides,
Yeah.
Yeah, that-
Left and right could come down.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to see them go. It's a lot of excavation work for maybe not much of a wow factor, but it's something it would be, make the pool more secure for one. It's,
yeah,
far too easy to gain access after hours. And it would be one less thing to do down the road when we wanted to incorporate other changes.
I'd say give it some thought, because
Could take an
once you've
alternate
got
bid
the
for that.
equipment there,
what?
then
Yeah,
that's,
take an alternate bid for that.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be, I think that's not a bad idea to take an alternate bid for it. I'm just trying to think, I don't think, when you take them down from the recreation center, you have problems with whatever the facing is on the rec center behind that,
Right.
but I don't think you do so much on this. It's a concrete block building, yes?
It is
Right?
brick above grade,
Above,
so
right.
you would wanna do something with,
Paint
you
it.
know, some kind of panel or something.
Something,
like
just
that.
temporarily even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think an alternate bid, it makes a lot of sense.
And we could look at other things that, if we identify them along the way,
Yeah.
that could be alternates, if
Mhm.
we think that they could be done quickly and efficiently as part of the
Mhm.
project.
I'm not sure, I'm gonna just go back to the actual core project. I'm not sure I understand exactly what's happening here.
This is just an existing filter room. All I'm doing is kind of showing you the filter system as it exists now, very tight piping on the left, and just to give you an idea where the new filter would sit. So
If you go back to the picture,
one more,
no, go back where we just were.
okay.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah, there. So you're ripping stuff out.
Yep.
You're taking the pad out.
No,
Yeah.
no, that whole area just identifies as the location, right? That red.
That's just the general area, so
Yeah.
the corner of the building that's in there, that's the filter room and the
Okay.
edge of the storage room where you would come in and out.
That's where the work is.
That's gonna happen, but the rest of that deck area
Yep.
is prime location for a surge tank, so there will be some of that deck very likely ripped up and a big hole dug.
You say a surge tank, what do you mean? What?
So a surge tank is a vessel that collects extra water when you get an influx of bathers. You put 1,000 people in the pool, the water has to go somewhere. Currently, there is nowhere for it to go because we have the undersized gutters.
Right.
Gutters could normally take some of that, but
Not big.
any new pool is built with a surge tank.
Okay.
I mean, that's just standard design.
Let's
We
just
don't
get
have
it
one.
right.
Never
It
have.
is.
Right.
Sure. Yep.
So,
Plus,
yeah,
we're
like-
relocating some of the stuff that's under there for the spray
Well,
stuff.
pipes are gonna be
Yeah.
coming through that area between, on the left side of the red rectangle. That's where the pool pipes return to the filter room. That pit that I mentioned, I wish I had a little laser pointer, but if you see the tiny little peninsula coming off that rectangle into the
Mhm.
pool.
Yep.
That's where the pit is, two big vault door, like storm
Right,
doors in the deck. That's where all that circulation equipment is contained.
You're gonna
So
put it
to service that, we have to lift big concrete doors.
Yeah.
There could be swimmers everywhere. It's not a good
Yeah, So you're
location.
relocating.
So we want to move that.
Yeah.
So that will be altered somewhat as
Yeah.
well.
And again, back to the alternates, like, give the snack bars right there, you're kind of ripping out the corner next to the snack bar. And
Well-
I'm not wanting to spend extra money if you don't have to, it's just, it's so expensive to get the heavy equipment on site. Is there any efficiency there or not?
Yeah, and just to clarify, the building itself, the exterior of that building shouldn't be changed unless it's below grade, like to put pipes through the
Okay.
wall or something like that. We would come through a set of existing double doors on the left side of the rectangle and then turn right and come through an interior block wall
Right.
with potentially what I'm hoping is another set of double doors. So that if we ever need to change this again, we're not going through a block wall anymore, we have a set of double doors.
Sure. Exactly.
So that's kind of my thinking at this
Yeah.
point. We'll see if the architects agree with me.
But you are the client, so, you know.
True.
client
Okay,
is the
so moving on to our next slide, we talked about some of the planned work, and then Gateway will be working very closely on this project, and I'll let Dan Dizeroff talk about their role.
Yeah, so typical with any of these projects is we get specialists that come in and then they require you to do other things as part of the work, so. We think that it's necessary to at least drill one hole back there for a geotechnical investigation to know if there's rock there or not. We know there's rock in the area. We had to pound out rock from the last pool job. So we'd drill a hole, that'd be one thing we'd do. They don't have structural, we would help them design the tanks, so we would do the structural work for them. Help them coordinate stuff, then we also have to hire an electrical sub consultant because they don't do electrical. It's not super complicated electrical, it's just getting power to the new facilities. but it needs to be approved, it needs to be, done according with National Electric Code. So that's part of it. That's sort of the base engineering. And then as you go through the CDs, you prepare construction documents. We'll have to decide where this filtration tank's gonna go. We're gonna have to decide how much concrete's gotta be removed. We'll have to deal with any utilities in the area, so there'll be some sort of a site plan related to it. Put all that stuff in plans and specification format, get it out the bid, bring it back to you guys, say, we're gonna award this, so we're gonna do it. They're an outside the town type of people, so they'll come in for some CA work. But between David's office and us, we would help at least move it through the CA part of it to close the project out. So, it's typical with what we do with other specialized contractors. I did ask, we did go through in detail with Councilman Hockman, their proposal to make sure that we had everything covered in our scope and or their scope. Some things may or may not be required as we get into this further. They did inform us that if there's any reason to stop at any phase of the project, that they would just stop work and bill us for what they have done to date, like a time and material contract, which is the same way we would work. So I think it's a good, fair contract that they provided. They were pretty good on all their answers to questions. I thought they answered all your questions well. So they seem like a good group to work with, but again, they need a local presence. We would provide the local presence and help them through the process. That's about it.
Are we increasing the electrical load any in this new
I
project?
don't anticipate that. It'd just be bringing power
To it?
to the location.
We're just having a problem with a residential property on Parkway because there's not enough power, and Duquesne Light has taken 2 years and still hasn't fixed it. And they had all of the drawings, everything 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure we know
Yeah,
that
we-
an issue Rudy knows about it. So, yeah.
We would plan to use existing pumps, motor starters. The new filter system requires a variable frequency drive, so that will require new power. But, we don't think this is.
Yeah, three-phase power there already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we need. So.
The only question I had in looking at the contract was the language they use, and this might just be like cover your ass legal language. I'm assuming that we're gonna have to bid all this stuff out anyway, like the equipment, but there was a clause in their contract that basically said they're gonna do best efforts, but can't guarantee any of the prices. And I was thinking like, like if they're experts in this stuff, I would imagine they can get us pretty close on pricing for the material that, like giant filters or, whatever they're recommending we do. I just didn't want to be in a situation where, like we spend 40 grand for experts to come in, tell us, then we have to probably spend, I'm making up a number, 300 grand, and then it comes in and it's actually $1 million. And it's like, how could the experts miss by a mile?
Sure.
So my question was like, how can we pin them down on, like, we're hiring them for that expertise? Or
Well,
how do we
they're gonna
pin them
run-
down on that?
They're gonna run through a DD process, price it during DD. So we'll know right there, once they get a final design and we'll find the basis of that. Then when they produce the CDs, they'll give another cost estimate at that point. That's the best that they can really do. I mean, they'll try to rely upon other systems that they're already doing right now to know the numbers. And then one of my questions to them was, can you give us a list of contractors that would bid this project?
Sure.
So that's another thing that's a key that people know and trust their work. So they would give people the
Right.
bid.
Because that work alone might vary, which we can't put a pin on that. But like, if we're ordering a piece of equipment, that shouldn't be a variable.
Oh, yeah.
It's super complicated. I mean, there's a little bit of demo in the existing building. And David wants to take advantage of some of the space that we can sort of work with that too, to try to save some of the space that we're removing stuff to put in
Right.
storage. So I think we can bring that back. I mean, what I would see as we move through this design process is coming in and doing another check-in with the commission at some point on where we are in the project, the final, before we put it out on the street to go to bid, so you guys know what's going on.
And then I didn't go through the CIP, but I don't think this stuff was included in that either, right? Was it?
This was not in the CIP. When we started having cloudy water issues, I mean,
Yeah.
our CIP was done.
Yeah.
we had planned to put some of this into the operating budget, but we didn't anticipate a full filtration replacement or anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
I think it just sort of was brought to a head by the circumstances we were facing this year.
So then how do we handle this? Is this something that we would bring forward to budget discussion? Or do we then put this into the CIP, or is it?
Well,
Unassigned funds discussion.
Right. And Keith. Go ahead,
I was
Andrew.
looking at-
I'm not gonna.
Finish your statement.
well, we're just, is this something, I guess, we're gonna open the 2024 budget to do, or would we wait?
So from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is November is when we're sending it out to bid.
Well, you know what? I have a schedule slide. Let's go there.
So. yeah, that might be-
That's the
Yeah.
price. Here's the schedule.
Okay,
So no work would actually happen until January, but we would want to award December 10th.
Yeah.
So,
Correct. So with them going out in November, you're gonna be discussing budget at that time to discuss how we would like to fold this in.
okay,
There's multiple opportunities to pay for this. There will be unassigned fund discussion, current budget for 25 discussions, as well as potentially going out to market next year and doing this as a reimbursable project.
Hmm.
So there are many ways to fund this project, and it can be a combination of all three of those.
Yeah.
In some way.
Keith indicated we had the capacity for this. Remember, we said it's happening earlier than we thought.
the part,
Capacity to a point. To
Well,
Craig's point,
yeah.
depends on what the magic number is.
Yeah,
well, I lost my presenter view there for a second. Hang on. Where did you go? Here we go. Technology's grand. Okay, moving back to the slide we were looking at. The part that we need and, want to award right away is on September 10th, the contract to Councilman Hunsaker for
Mhm.
the design, construction administration.
right.
That, will allow us to stay on schedule. With, ultimately the plan being to have this in place, constructed and ready to open for the 2025 swim season in May.
Right.
So that's I guess the next critical step is to award this to Councilman Hunsaker. The last thing I'll say is, Phil is going to review the legal part of the
Sure.
proposal for us and, provide any feedback there, but.
Right.
The big thing would be, getting it out to bid, getting a contractor on board and then ordering the equipment.
Right,
It's not gonna be the physical construction that will, there'll be just the
It's getting
availability
the
of
stuff in,
equipment.
yeah.
Right.
Yep, and it was $40,000 for the,
40,400 is Councilman
number.
Hunsaker's
Yep.
fees. This was our preliminary estimate of costs. Obviously, this could change depending on the design and bids, et cetera.
it was
But this
lower
is-
than your original,
This is the current, well,
off the cuff.
my original off the cuff was different for a number of reasons, but not the least of which was we needed a surge tank external to the building. I had hoped to reuse our existing filter tank, but it was just too small.
If you look at the total construction number, if you just take 10% of that for the engineering and construction administration,
Yes.
it's in line, and the fees are in line.
Yeah, I didn't think it
It's,
was, that was not.
yeah.
We're locking in for 44 right now, and we are conceptually locking in for
Yeah,
the 761
Right.
during budget in some way.
right. Mhm. The one pool that's in place.
So I think, Andrew, we would have something for them on the September 10 agenda to approve the 40 for the proposal. Okay,
Fine.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice job.
Right on that.
Understand.
I have one announcement as far as
Sure.
board's authority. September 26th is the
Yes.
Historical Society fundraiser. Tickets go on sale August 31st. $75 a piece, and sponsorships are available now. But again, please, it's a great event. It's at the Historical Society building. Again, that's September 26th in the evening.
It's fun.
It's an auction online.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
One other item, Connect has their legislative session on September 12th. You are all welcome to join, where all the various municipalities, there are actually new, so I will probably up into the high 40s of municipalities who are participating. So you're all welcome to join on September 12th. I can get you the information. And
Okay.
I look forward to updating you more on what's going on with Connect at the next meeting.
Fabulous.
I have two quick updates.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec Board met, I don't know, maybe like a week ago. They passed motions. I don't know if this is gonna come through you, David, or if it came through already, but they had official motions. One of them is there were complaints on Meadowcroft related to pickleball playing very late into the night.
Yeah.
Residents asked for the lights to be restricted and the noise to be restricted back to 9 o'clock. I think they had some public comments, some people asked for it not to be restricted, and they kind of, met in the middle and said, hey, let's cut it off at 9:30. So I think that was gonna be the official recommendation, and David's gonna edit some of the signs for playing and related to music. There were people like with boom boxes and stuff like that, so I think we're gonna mirror what we do at the pool, correct? Yeah. So that'll be an official proposal that I think internally David just takes care of.
I'm planning to do that. I have not done that yet, but it will be coming soon. I will send it to Keith, copy you, and it will go to the commission.
The second one, they made a recommendation or a motion to recommend, which was passed, that Gateway engineers update the plans and the pricing for the McNeely Field developments. The fields, concession stand, that kind of stuff. So that was their recommendation. It was part of the recommendations from the field study. So
That should be budget time. That should come to us.
the official recommendation, however they word it, will come through somehow.
Okay.
So they're asking,
They're doing it to us. I'm sorry.
yes, they're basically,
Momentary brain fart.
yeah, their recommendation is ask Gateway to update the plans and give us updated pricing so that if we decide to put that as a future project, we have details and pricing
Got it.
on it.
Okay.
On the school board, reassessments was like a 7-figure hit to the budget for them this year, which was pretty tough. And the scoreboard was funded by an anonymous donor, and that is now in place, it seems. I think it's done.
Scoreboard,
The,
High school stadium.
Yes.
oh yeah, I'm not in the loop on that, sorry.
I can't remember what
I
that.
saw photos.
I saw stuff going
The
on.
official name is, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all set there. That's it for now.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You can all set.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Thanks. No worries. I was supposed to use it tonight, but I was like,